Hi FlossTube Stitchers. Boy, we've had all the weather this month. We've had snow and hail, and it was 80 degrees one day this week, but mostly lots and lots of rain. And you know what that reminded me of? Noah's Ark. And in our previous house, this dates back over 20 years, I had a Noah's Ark theme on the hutch in my living room. So they're just little things. I know I have other charts at home that I never stitched, and I think I didn't pursue having a bigger collection because the living room only had 2 partial walls to hang things on, or 3, but they were shorter and interrupted by windows and doors and staircase and that sort of thing. And so I think I didn't want to stitch something if I didn't know where I was going to put it, and that's certainly not how I stitch now. But for whatever reason, I only have smaller things in the Noah's Ark theme. So the first one is from Cricut Collection, and it's a freebie. And back in the day, they used to come on cards shipped to the shop owners who participated in the designer's automatic programs. So at that time, these are the 4 charts that came out on that auto, and this was the free chart, and they were used for, advertising purposes. So sorry, didn't mean to. I have started over so many times that I'm gonna let that go. So this is how I finished it, and no surprise, it's another tuck pillow. And I don't think it suggested, it did not suggest a color. I think this is blue spruce maybe, but whatever it was, we didn't have that many colors to choose from back in the day, and so this was the perfect choice, and it matched the pillow. But I added the buttons because look at that. The flange is only like 1/2 inch, and that at the time we might have had cats, or it might have just been because my nieces were little. I can't remember the reason, but for whatever, I didn't think it would stay in, by itself. So I decided to sew 2 buttons just on the corner. And I did sew them all the way through to the back, but I didn't sew them on real tight, so it doesn't really create a dimple. It just kind of, kept the fabric in place, and it's never come undone. So the other corners haven't popped out. I think I probably could have used a curved needle had I known about them then to sew it on without going all the way through, but nobody looks at the back anyway. So this is called, if I didn't say already, Noah's Umbrella Claws. Then this company you will recognize too, because I've done a lot of these pieces. The company name is Framework, and I'm pretty sure they were from Virginia. And most of their fabric was 22 count in order to get a nice sized design in this little 2-inch area. And their pieces came with a wood plug. It was already painted, and then they gave you a piece of felt for the back. And I didn't put a hanger on this, so I'm sure this was in a basket, or maybe the plate rail in the hutch. It was just, or propped up against something else. So I really like this. I should get these out and use them because I have blue in my house, so they would go. And then this is most probably Homespun Elegance because the style is familiar to me, and I recognize the border as having been on other designs of hers. I did some research. I couldn't find my chart. I know I have it someplace because I didn't used to get rid of them. I just haven't come across it. And I checked her Etsy shop, and it's not in there. And I did kind of an exhaustive search on the internet, and looking for vintage Homespun Elegance and Noah's Ark specifically. And a chart never came up that had this, but I don't believe it was free. I believe it came on a chart. And this was before she started putting paper in plastic bags. It was back when she did the full color leaflets. And this could have also been one of her frames because she had a line of frames that she would sell wholesale to shops. And that was an easy sale because she showed it on the front cover and then she made it available. So it could have been. I can tell by the paper that I framed this myself. So that's what makes me think it was a frame that I had gotten through her rather than having it custom framed. Okay, then I have this lovely item. This was making the noise before when I set something down. My friend Nancy, back in the day, let's see, I got this one in '94. And when she was a young mom, she did craft shows, and her company name was the Wooden Ark. And she did a lot of things on wood, and so I think she liked Noah's Ark. It was kind of a thing back at that time. And she also thought that having wood in the title would let people know what her specialty was. And what's kind of funny is for a number of years when we were first friends, I thought that she was buying patterns to make these things, and it turns out that she was designing and making them herself. So I knew she was talented, but I didn't realize that she was a designer as well as a crafter. So she just had a really sweet style. She had, little lines and the paint speckles, and she would add buttons. And anyway, I just really enjoyed having some of her pieces. And then here's Noah, and I got this one in '97. And he kind of, looks like a Santa, so he could go on the tree. But I probably had this hanging from a peg or a doorknob on my hutch, something like that. So I know you've heard that name before because she has done other things, and she also designed punch needle for a while, and we had those for sale here. So that's my little Noah's Ark collection. And we had a mutual friend named Margie. I'm sure I introduced them here at the shop, but Margie lived in my neighborhood, and she had cats, and she had a female cat that her youngest son named Noah. And we just thought that was so cute that he didn't care that it was a girl. Well, the joke's on us. Maybe it wasn't popular then, but Noah is actually used as a girl's name now. And I was listening to an audiobook a couple weeks ago where one of the main character's daughters was named Noah, and that's what got me to thinking about it. So I did some research, and shame on us because Noah both ways was in the Bible. So Noah of Noah's Ark, N-O-A-H, and then N-O''A-H. They say it's pronounced differently, so it might be Noah, but she was a woman in the Bible that I don't even remember hearing about. And then I checked some like baby name sites, and people were saying that they hear Noah more now as a girl's name than a boy. So he knew what he was doing, and he didn't get caught up in whether it should be a boy or girl's name. And we're just silly because we didn't know. Okay, then we will move on to new shop models, and the first two are from my framer. So she did Heart and Hands Doodles from the Doodles series, Maker. And oops, I got these out of order here. I believe she said that this was on iced coffee from Fabric Flare. And I don't know if you can tell under this lighting, but it's just very slightly modeled. If you're familiar with Fabric Flare, they do have some crazy colors too, but then they have some soft overdyes. And I love the way the red brings out the red in the tomato. And I also noticed in comparing this to the chart cover that she stitched her tomato going up and down instead of sideways. And I think it looks really good that way. So I'm pleased to have that as a model. Then I've had this for a little bit. I was just waiting for some other like themed items to show you at the same time. So this is Threads of Time Sewing Bird from Stitches by Ethel. And it's just in a real simple frame. She did something a little different there, but she did use the recommended color palette. So if you remember things I've said about Bonnie in the past, she loves the Southwest and she loves the beach. So aquas and teals work really well for her, and she chose to play that up in her choice of frames. And then I tried this before and it doesn't work for me to hold both up at the same time, but coincidentally, the other day, Laura Schlegel came in and let me photograph a finish that she did of the same design. And I know you can't tell, but she changed the turquoise to like a faded denim blue color, which I would probably do if I stitched it too, because that would go better in my house. But you can't really tell in this photo, you know, the screen versus the screen and then the lights. But anyway, she stitched it on, or she mounted it on a little jewelry box from Target. And when she told me about this, I don't know if it was last year or the year before because the receipt wasn't still in the bag, but I went out and bought one and I thought, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. And I don't know what I'm going to put on it. Probably not that, now that, you know, I already have a model and a picture of that. I don't know if I'll do it for my sewing room because I don't really have that decorated, or if I'll do it just in a theme I like bees or something. But anyway, she said she thought she had seen them recently at Target. So I don't really know what number you need. There's all kinds of numbers on here, but it's called Brown Jewelry Box. And I believe it came in at least 1 or 2 other colors. But I'm just going to put this up here. And if any of that makes sense to you, you want to take a screenshot and look for it. But it has, you know, an area inside to put some of your tools, and it's a smaller version of what you've seen people do online. But I think my bee theme would work because I have a lot of little bee accessories and whatnot. So I think that would work for me. But anyway, I'm glad I could find that today to show you. Okay, and then one more vintage, because it kind of goes with that theme. And this, I'm pretty sure, was a free chart. It's called Never Enough Stash, and the designer was Mount Forest Frameworks, and this is also her frame. We had a lot of these back in the day. If I remember correctly, she was in Michigan, and she was in, I think, the Army Reserves, and she was called up. And that's about when she stopped creating patterns and making frames. And I'm so sad that I'm always sad when somebody retires and we didn't get enough notice, because I would have liked to have stocked up on. I have charts but no frames. I have a couple frames, but I, you know, maybe sold the chart to a customer and didn't order myself another one in a timely fashion. So I'm kind of sad that we didn't know ahead of time. I thought that I had run across an extra frame or two when we were packing up to get the new carpet last fall, but I haven't run across them. So maybe I dreamt that, I don't know. But anyway, I thought this was really cute, and I had this hanging on the doorknob in my sewing room. All right, so those are all the models. Now for some new product. We got the Atomic Ranch. I'm just gonna open up the, nope, I'm gonna open up the 20 because that's the easiest. The color this month was Oz, and it matches DMC 13 and 955, like somewhere in that family. And the only overdyed thread I could find that matched was Frozen Margarita by Classic Colorworks, but it's still a little more green than blue. This looks very minty here, but you know, when you start comparing colors, some of them do look a little more blue, a little more yellow. It is different from other greens that we've gotten from them, because we've had pistachio, which is more yellow. We've had winter mint, which was like a duller, more prim color. There was light jade in the spring collection this year that was slightly different. And what was the other one? There was another color that was darker still than this. So anyway, it may look familiar, but it's not. It's a completely new color. And what I have left is 16, 20, 32 Lugana and 36 Edinburgh. Then there were 2 new colors of Belle Soie from Classic Colorworks. And I already forgot the names. Heirloom Lace and Midnight. So I thought those were pretty. And these were the April automatic colors: Cobblestone, Petunia, and Sun-Drenched Violets. I put the Cobblestone in the middle, but those are very pretty. And you can still jump on that bandwagon because Diana's making it very easy for us to add to our auto each month. So there's no problem adding new people. The skeins are $8 each, so it's $24, and then there's a 10% discount, and I offer free shipping. All right, so that's the fabric and thread. And then we got the Primrose Cottage Automatic, and I'll just show these first to get them out of the way. There's a selection of stickers for $9. You know what? I didn't count them. Somebody in their fan group posted a pink metal toolbox, and that's where she put her stickers, and it was so cute. I think I saved a picture of it, but you know what? I don't know if I could find it quickly right now. But anyway, so there's stickers. And then they did have a frog needle minder, and there was a mistake in my auto, and I only got 1 instead of 6, and they apologized and said sometimes when they're doing a new invoice, some of the numbers revert back to, I guess they all start at 1, and it reverts back and they don't notice it. And I said, well, I didn't notice it when I paid the bill either, so next time I'll make sure I go through and see all the numbers. And now they're out, so they're waiting for more to come in. So I sold the one that I got yesterday, and so I don't have one to show you, but we'll have those very soon. Then they had the zipper pulls, and this one is 13 and this is 14 because there's 2 of them. So we have those, and then it was all a stitching theme this time. So here's Stitching Quaker and Stitching Quilts and Stitching Rules. So if you like to decorate with that theme, you'll have a lot of fun with these. And there's not a huge amount of colors called for, so if you needed to change the color palette for your room, it would be very easy to do. Okay, so that's everything that was new. And now for my stitching. I'm in kind of a new place right now, and I made a few mistakes and had to start over, and then the sun was coming through right like this, and so I had to take a break. And then I thought, I'm just gonna scrap what I did before because it's not gonna match lighting wise. And then I forgot what I said already. So I'm not as organized as I was an hour ago. Okay. All right, so now I will show you my stitching. And a couple weeks ago, I was working on Strawberry Season by Yasmin's Made with Love. And I was gonna show it to you when I did the Tuckables Trunk Show video, but that part ran too long, so I just decided to save all my stitching for this time. And I finished all the white and yellow flowers, added some more leaves and vine, and the main thing I did was stitch the pot. So she had stitched her pot in a really deep burgundy, which is the top part of the strawberry in the border. And I don't know, I wasn't feeling the burgundy pot for some reason. And I originally thought that I was going to do the pot in either black or charcoal, thinking that maybe I would do, a black frame because I thought that looked good. And when I laid some different floss selections on the fabric, I didn't care for what it looked like on my fabric, which is Aged Paper by Color and Cotton. It's just so warm. And for some reason, the black and the charcoal looked a little off. So I ended up choosing 3371, which actually looks black in this, picture, but it's the darkest brown. And it looked a lot better with my fabric. And then the words Strawberry Season go up here, and I think I'll just pick a different brown from maybe the same color family. All right, so I worked on that. And then a very nice viewer sent me an email asking if I knew about this chart, because she was just organizing her free charts and she found it. And I said, well, yes, Dee. As a matter of fact, I did this as part of my freebie February this year. It's called Do Small Things by Sweet Wing Studio. And I told her I need to get that out and work on it. And so guess what, Dee? That night I got it out and I worked on it. I had only done the lettering and I'm choosing my own colors. So I have some tails in the back because there's some of them, there's no good place to tie them off right now. And I just gotta think about it. I'm not a pin stitch person, so I gotta think about that. So what I did was just start picking a few colors and figuring out how to space them around the design. And it's completely different from what the original is. I thought it was gonna turn out more prim, but I guess I was in a brighter mood. I had picked 3750 DMC because that's one of my favorite blues and I knew it would go in my house and I knew I wouldn't have trouble finding other colors to go with it. But then when I looked at the reds, I kept eliminating all of the too dark or too prim or too rusty looking reds, and I ended up with a brighter palette than I intended. So this was a quote by Mother Teresa. And there's some quilt blocks that go in some of the empty places, and there's some flowers I need to finish. The quilt blocks, they just have too many colors in them. And I'm like, where am I supposed to wind all that thread? So I might redesign them to have less colors, but I should be finished with that pretty soon. All right, then I had worked on another one from my freebie February this year. This is Jean Farish Needleworks on her website called Americana Sampler Flag. And I can't tell you how much fun it was to stitch the background pink and watch those letters appear. It was so satisfying, but I wanted to put some of the darker color in to show you. And actually, I think I need to pick a lighter color for the white bands because that's a little too much contrast. I lightened the white a little bit because I'm using the same color in the blue field, and I have a problem with whites that are too beige. But now the color of the lettering is going to be too much contrast. So I just did one letter just to see what it looked like, and I'll audition some other colors. So that was going pretty quickly too, because of course this is only one strand and I'm doing it on 32, pretty sure this is lamb's wool Joblin. Okay, then I finished, because I think this was also going to be the Tuckables night, so I don't think I showed this to you yet. I finished Honeybee Quilt from Primrose Cottage. And I want to do the basket next. You know, I have all the thread colors out, and I actually started this on my family reunion trip last summer. So I didn't have that much to finish on it, so I don't feel too guilty for starting another one right away because this really was from last year. So I finished that. And then this week I finished He Loves Us by Teresa Kogut, another freebie from this year, and it's on her website. And I believe I think I changed the white, and I changed the gold color that makes the pistils. Is that what it is? I'm not a flower person. They had two colors chosen that were almost identical, so I picked a little bit brighter gold for that, but that's done. I think I might want to do something fancier with this. I don't have a big Easter picture. Not that this is big, but I mean, I have mostly small stuff and little pillows and things. So I was thinking of maybe having Bonnie do a round like suede mat or something and do it a little fancier. So I was happy to get that done. All right, one last thing. Today's the 27th of April. I don't know when you're watching it, but it's my birthday, and I'm going to give a $27 gift certificate to my shop to somebody who comments on the video. Tell me what your favorite birthday dessert is. If you could have anything you wanted, it doesn't have to be the usual cake. Tell me what that is, and then I'll enter your name in that drawing. For my family, my mom was famous for making Boston cream pie, but she made hers multiple layers instead of just the flat little cake that you see at the grocery store. We don't even know where she got the idea to do that. I keep thinking it's because there were 5 of us and the little cake probably wouldn't have lasted very long. But I didn't even know until I was an adult that that's not the way you're supposed to make Boston cream pie. But she made the homemade custard filling and the chocolate ganache on top, and it was awesome. And I haven't made that. I haven't made the 2-layer one that she used to do, but I have made a couple Boston cream poke cakes. And I'm kind of in the mood. I think I might make one this week just because I'm thinking about it. But my nieces, my one niece, Caitlin, the younger one, she took cake decorating classes when she was little, but they didn't really like cake. They preferred donuts. So that's why I'm letting you choose what dessert you might want for your birthday. Okay, this was probably a little choppy because of all the mistakes I made and the times I had to start over. I hope I don't have to edit it too much and add in corrections to things I said, but we'll see how that goes. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.